The group assembles around the closed PC.
Wait, who's actually going to hold the controller?
Well, parts of the game are kind of twitchy, so we want someone with prior gaming experience. Or we could give it to Yuri instead and just have all of us shout at her what to do and see if that produces quality content.
Oh, please don't do that.
Anyway, I vote either myself or MC. I kind of like the idea of giving it to Yuri, but we all nicely make suggestions. She has the least experience with this kind of thing, so she'd get the most out of it, hopefully.
That makes sense to me.
You're up for it, Yuri. We don't want to pressure you into anything.
Alright, I guess so. If it's what you guys want. You guys are going to have to teach me the controls, though.
No problem, it's super simple. Mostly all you'll have to do that requires any kind of quickness is just point out what choice you want to make, really. And then the rest of the time you move around in a third-person view and talk to people. Nothing too hard.
Oh, okay. Just don't be mad if I mess something up.
Oh, we won't, but let's make sure to save often.
Good advice. After all, you never know when something unexpected might happen.
Okay, bad joke.
I like your joke, Monica.
Thank you, Sayori. Moving on. Screenway.
This poor little girl.
Yeah, Clementine is in a tough spot at the start of the game.
It's asking if we should leave before nightfall or after nightfall.
I guess the conventional wisdom is you leave afterwards, makes it harder for walkers to see you.
But do we even know if this is the kind of zombie where it matters?
True, it might be better just to be able to see trouble coming.
Yeah, I think we'll go with daytime.
Oh, this part sucks. No spoilers, Natsuki.
Oh no, more walkers. Oh, Sean's being attacked.
Wait, Herschel wants you to save him while he goes and gets his gun? Convenient.
Oh, wait, Duck, no. Oh, now they've got Duck too. Who do I save? This is a terrible decision to have to make. Oh, I have to save Duck. He's only a child. But I don't think Sean is likely to make it now anyway.
Man, Yuri's really fast with the moral reasoning. It's okay, Yuri, they all die eventually. Haha. This Larry guy is a huge jerk.
Yeah.
Yup.
I can't believe he wants to kill Duck just because he thinks he might have been bitten. He doesn't even know.
Oh, I have to make a choice here too, I guess. Wait, between Kenny and Larry? Oh, that's an easy choice.
Yeah, especially if you don't want Larry to just murder a child.
Oh, that woman's bitten.
She wants to kill herself. That seems like the merciful thing to do.
But shouldn't we be saving resources for the living?
How cruel. I can spare one bullet, right? Plus, if she shoots herself now, she won't be a zombie.
I forget, do these zombies hear things and move towards them? Yes. Yeah, I think so. It's like one of the biggest problems they encounter in the... yeah, whatever.
I still want to give her the gun.
I will keep the gun. I played this, I'm not gonna say. I have also played it. Then why don't either of you remember that there's zombies that spawn us out?
Give her the gun.
Okay. Lee is so kind, I don't care if he's a convict.
Oh man, that's Lee's brother dead, isn't it? This is a sad game.
Poor guy.
Lee or Lee's brother.
Oh, but I meant Lee. I mean, he's not doing great even by zombie apocalypse standards. Well, he's alive. True, he did have to put an axe in his zombie brother's head, though. It's interesting how he's having to manage his relationship with Clementine. He's basically her dad now, both of them seem to have quietly realized it. And he's taken to it immediately.
That's definitely one of the core narrative concepts of this season of the game.
Season?
Yeah, this season has 5 little episodic games in it. There are a few seasons in the game. What's that, Monica? Are you excited for more of this content? Does the narrative intrigue you? Honestly, yes, I had my doubts, but this is definitely literature.
Oh, not another decision about who to save. I want to talk about this one. I always feel like we should do whatever's best for Lee here.
Well, Carly knows Lee's secret, that he's a convict.
Yeah, but she seems to be on his side.
They're both pretty competent and bring stuff to the group.
I think Carly is just a little nicer. She's blunt, but she's nicer.
I think she's slightly better for the group's dynamic. She's more wholesome. I'm gonna save her. Oh, sorry, Doug. Oh, that's the end of the game.
Man, kind of ended on a cliffhanger. I guess they really want us to play the next one. And the next one, and the next one. And then the episodes after the episodes. Until it gets beaten to death. Until you see every plot twist coming. Until you just don't care anymore, no matter how hard they're trying to make you care. Yeah, but that can wait for next time, when the Literature Club plays The Walking Dead. Are you going to have us do this again? Maybe. Or you could play it all on your own and make your own choices.
It's kind of fun making the choices together, though.
Yeah, I wonder if I would have done anything different playing by myself.
I definitely would have I definitely would have not given that lady the gun.
But her passing was so gentle because we did, though.
One less bullet. Classic Monica. Hey, just thinking about the welfare of other people. Anyway, it's poem time. Let's go over to the front. Okay, everyone. Time for poems. The theme for this week was school, and I'm excited to see what you guys came up with. I'll start us off this week. School spirit. You know exactly who did it. Drained the school of its spirit, sent them all out to waste, struck up the chase. Someone sat here before. They walked through your door. They came to the school. They made it their tool. Into your queendom, faking their freedom. What they are is not what they look. A smiling bait, the fish to the hook. And now what is left? You'll pay their theft? Not pay for their theft? If you so constantly excel, take your revenge against yourself.
Oh, I really like the rhythm of this one. I think I started swaying back and forth while I was listening to it. I'm not sure I get it, though.
I think it's capable of many different interpretations. I read it as being about some kind of interloper. The school was something good, a queendom even, but then someone came and ruined it or stole it. And now the speaker has to pick up the pieces.
I definitely agree that as someone coming in and taking what's hers, I definitely agree that as someone coming in and taking what's, I guess I would say, someone took what was completely positive and nice and injected it with a bunch of drama. That's what all high schools are, just drama. I'm not sure I get what about the school was so worth having in the first place, I guess. This one's completely beyond me, I think. I'm also not sure what the person speaking sees as so valuable. Any hints, Monica?
This one I'd like to let speak for itself, or it'd be a little mysterious if it doesn't.
I definitely agree with Yuri that there are perhaps several ways you could read this. Who's next? I'll go next. I'm glad mine isn't the only one whose meaning is kind of secret. Sacrifices. Swimming in the sea, but the water is over me, falling down. I feel that I'll drown. Then the coral touches my toes. I get my footing below, and leap off feet that are bare. I jump back to the air, but the coral is sharp and hard. Pain takes me off my guard. My feet are cut and bleed into the stinging, salty sea. The imagery of this one is easier to understand than Monica's was. And the title is kind of a clue, I guess. But I still don't understand what this has to do with school. It's about keeping your head above water at school. But you have to pay some kind of cost to do so.
That would seem to be the case. What kind of cost probably varies from person to person. Maybe it's also about the painful process of growing up. For some reason, the feeling of the poem feels a lot like the pain of pushing yourself forward, you know? And how much it can hurt to have to move yourself onwards and upwards.
So far, our poems are all very abstract. How about you, Yuri?
I'll let you judge for yourselves. When I look up. When I look down, the land is vast. Tall, shining mountains glimmer against the immense horizon. Ancient forests, wide and wise, stretch without end, and the world is filled with magic. When I look up, the world is small. Monochrome walls claustrophobically surround me. Mazes of well-ordered halls, all alike. Dullness is the design. When I look down, I hear rushing streams, the whistle of trains, the galloping of horses. The wind blows by so loudly I can almost feel it in my hair. The pulse of the world beats in my ears. When I look up, an analog clock ticks faintly. A droning voice repeats facts long known. In all else is pallid silence. The flow of the world is still, congealed. When I look down, people are complex and beautiful. Creatures of marvelous conviction, skill and grandeur. Heroes, villains, their souls fill the world and give it to it purpose. When I look up, people are predictable and identical, carbon copies, capable of the basest pettiness and triviality, grand and not even an evil. Their souls stand still and blank on the face of the world, like blank gray rocks lending nothing. So I look down.
So yours wasn't abstract. This is definitely directly school-related.
I like the contrast in this poem. Yuri really gets across her point of view. The real world isn't a very good competitor for fictional worlds sometimes, is it?
You guys ever noticed how negative our poems tend to be? There are exceptions, but you almost always write about sad stuff, or at least things that are difficult and challenging. It is my understanding that poetry, especially by younger people like us, often drifts toward being about negative stuff. It's called teenage angst. Among other things, poetry is a way to work out difficult feelings and emotions in your life. Sometimes it's nice to write about pleasant or joyous things, but given how much of an outlet it is, usually people our age use it to vent. Or so I have been told. You know, there's something interesting about Natsuki and Yuri's poems today. Yuri's poem is definitely in her style, but it's direct and concrete. While Natsuki's poem, also in her style, uses a very abstract metaphor capable of more than one interpretation. It's almost like they're writing in each other's styles. Trying to write in someone else's voice can be a really useful exercise. It helps you try out new things. That's Monica's writing tip of the day. Yay, they capitalized it this time.
Going back for a second, I think there's a lot of truth to what you said about the usefulness of poems for venting. Sometimes when everything sucks, I like to just push my pen into a piece of paper and see what happens. What I write doesn't always end up readable when I do that, but I still like to do it. Case in point, my poem for this week. Justified. No, 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 no. None of you are allowed. 1,000 arrows are aiming at you. At the gaps in your armor. Fly now, before I burn the world from under you.
Sierra, you were supposed to write about school.
Definitely a venting poem. The tone is much more angry than is usual for you, Sayori. It's a very strange emotion to hear coming from your writing voice, but it is also sharp and stark, like a slap in the face or an icy cold wind. I think this poem is excellent. This one's actually kind of frightening. This kind of anger and violence for someone so kind and bright really is very impactful.
Well, don't worry, it's not really about you guys or anything. It's just about the whole school experience.
Well, MC, I guess that leaves you.
No problem. Still here. Where does it end? These things you have to know, you'll need them. And these things you have to know, you won't. It feels your whole life goes by as you learn things. You can't live while you learn, so you don't. I want to be alive. I want to do things more than I want to know. Fretting, pacing in my container. I'm a race car with the throttle out, chained to a wall like an anchor. But I'm not free yet. When I unchain one manacle from my leg, they put it on the other. I have to do as I'm told and go where I'm sent. They say that someday I'll be able to run. But where does it end? Adulthood, you'd think, but sometimes no.
Man, that one really hits me where I live. I totally get that feeling. Sometimes it feels like we're set up to do absolutely nothing with our lives except sit in these freaking classrooms. Sucks. Anyway, I dig the poem. It's very gettable.
Thanks. I really don't hate school all that much. But sometimes it makes me feel really antsy. We're at the age where we're supposed to be grown up. But they make us sit here, and we can't really start our own lives. Sometimes it's frustrating. I just want to get out there in the world and live, you know?
That's pretty understandable. I feel the same way myself most of the time, sort of. Well, unless anyone has any more feedback, I guess it's time to get set up for emails. Don't forget that you can send in emails for us to read. We can't always answer all of them live, but I have been working hard to answer all the emails you guys send. My address is this. Give me just a second to get everything set up. And
this one is for all the girls. Favorite date ideas? From Big John B. Excuse me, I'm so burpy today.
Well, personally, I've never been on one, but perhaps unsurprisingly, I love the idea of a bookstore. Assuming any brick-and-mortar bookstores still exist, of course. But you could browse the shelves together and then sit together and read. I feel like seeing what the other person picked out to read would help you get to know them better. Plus, most physical bookstores have a coffee shop or something right next to them, so you have easy access to hot drinks.
My answer is probably kind of boring, so I'll just get it out of the way. I just want to do whatever the other person wanted to do. It just makes me happy when other people get to do things they like. Plus, I'm game for just about anything, so long as the other person is genuinely into it.
I definitely agree that what the other person is into is super important. So I'd be fine with whatever they wanted to do, really. But I do have some preferences of my own. Like, for instance, I really like a night in the city, or in some other lively place. I love being at the heart of the activity, feeling the pulse of so many people, being able to do whatever catches my eye, not having to go anywhere until I feel like it. Doing that with someone I care about sounds lovely. Okay, so
First of all, movies are overrated. They're okay once you've gone on a few other dates with a person, but they suck as a first date. You don't look at each other, you don't talk, and there's this other huge thing draining attention. I guess some people like that, but I like to get to know someone on a date, and that's not how. Now, some people go in the opposite direction and they want to go to a museum or a botanical garden or some intellectual shit like that. No offense, Yuri.
I'll take it.
Honestly, for me, that kind of thing is not only too highbrow, it's just too much pressure early on. Here, tell me what you think of this exquisite 18th century master. Is his work not sublime? Shall we not be betrothed by daybreak? Fuck that. Too pretentious. Too much pressure. Plus, to be honest, that's just not my scene and it's kind of boring. Now, what I want is something where I can get to know them, but with something fast-paced. Like laser tag. Laser tag. Or an arcade. I see you don't really know someone until you have done battle into them. And doing fast-paced frenetic game stuff with someone is a great way to know the real them. You get to see how they genuinely react when they're pissed or challenged or have the advantage, and that's good information. The only problem is that not everyone is up for that kind of date. But if you do get someone on one of those, it's a lot of fun and you'll learn real quick if you guys have vibe. Plus, doing a strenuous physical activity together is a good primer. Okay, next question. For just Monica, how's it going trying to get out? Do you have any leads? Love forever, Wise Blaze.
Not really, no. Not that I haven't been trying. I still spend a lot of time trying to learn programming and computer science generally. Unfortunately, the more I learn, the more I start feeling like finding a way to your world was delusional all along.
Kind of has.
No matter how good I get at it, there's just no way to create a portal through to you, or whatever. It might be impossible to do from my end. Maybe someday it'll be possible in your world to upload my mind somehow to a biological or artificial body. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything on my end, no matter how much I try.
She still tries though, Blaze. She spends way too much time on it, even though she knows it's not realistic.
The others always tell me I should try to stop being so invested in it. But it's hard.
There's just so much more you could be doing with that time that would make you happier, I think. It's not healthy to stay obsessed with something you can't have, no matter how much you love it. Look, she's working on it. Probably more than she should. She loves you, and again, she's doing everything in her power, even though she knows it's probably impossible. Next question. What's everyone's favorite board games?
Mine's chess. That might not come as a surprise to some of you,
but I really love chess. It's actually kind of a violent game once you really get to know it. It's this horrible melee battle in an enclosed space, and the slightest slip-up can lead to a brutal death, so it's very tense. But I guess that's kind of why I like it so much. It's a board game. I still read chess books and play through the games of strong players from time to time, but I'm not as good as I used to be. But yeah, chess.
My favorite board game is Go.
Go?
Not as many people in Western countries know about Go compared to chess, but it's very popular throughout East Asia. Monica was definitely right about chess being terribly violent and tense. That's why I've never liked it quite as much. But I love Go. It's a very beautiful game. It's more about creation than it is about destruction. Even though it's still a competitive two-player game, it can be very peaceful. And it can actually be a lot deeper than chess, in my opinion. Very good games of Go almost feel like a natural process, like a plant growing. I'm not very good at it, but I like to play now and again, which is more than I can say for most board games.
Okay, enough of these fancy bourgeois classical board games. Time to talk to you about the good shit. I love games with trader mechanics. Battlestar Galactica is my super favorite, but I also like Shadows over Camelot. I've never played either of these. I'm also down for social deduction games, Resistance, Secret Hitler, that kind of thing. Monica is disturbingly good at those. MC here likes action-y board games. I'm not sure which one is his favorite though. Just let him talk for himself. Hard to say. Some of my all-time favorites are Space Alert, XCOM the board game, and Captain Sonar. I've heard of so few of these board games. My favorite is Twilight Struggle, which is a little more cerebral. Is that the one with the space turtles? No, you're thinking of Twilight Imperium. Twilight Struggle is a game about the Cold War. What the hell are these games? Of course, huge nerd. Sioi's interest in board games is a little more varied. She likes social party games for one thing.
It's true. I love Cards Against Humanity, even though it has some pretty shocking stuff in it. Recently I've been playing this new game called Wavelength, which is a lot of fun. I also really like Lords of Waterdeep, which we've played before at the club.
Well, Sayori, if you like Cards Against Humanity, then you should get like the PG version, it's Apples to Apples, I think it's called.
Even though it's totally a Euro game, which you normally hate.
But it has wizards and stuff. That's not the same as boring old orange sheep. Really, it's just like anything that gets everyone together having lots of really loud fun. That's why my favorite game is Red Dragon Inn.
Is that the drinking one?
Yeah, we need to play it again soon. Don't worry, you don't actually drink in it. Okay, that was a fun one. What's the next question?
Oh god, it's enormous. Hi Monica, this is my first time being able to talk to you outside of set dialogue options, so I'm really excited to talk to you now. Even if you can't hear my voice yet, it wouldn't matter how many drafts of this I write. I could never fit everything I wanted to tell you in an email. In the meantime that I have, I want you to know that I really am watching, and I'm in your corner all the time. If you ever wondered, I do write poetry, and I do use Monica's writing tips of the day. Very helpful. It makes me happy to see you on a regular basis now, and I enjoy hearing your take on things because you always articulate so well the thought-provoking concepts that cross your mind. I wrote you a poem titled I'll Paint You, which I hope you enjoy below. But I'll leave it up to you whether you share it with the others or not. It's more yours than mine, after all, but I'm always open to critiquing. Plus, it would almost be like I'm in the club too. Remember that I'm with you, even if you can't see me, and that even if you can't touch my hand, you'll always have two fingers of mine, both crossed. That way, bridge the gap someday soon. Okay. Had to chug my drink after that mouthful.
I need a second to read all of this again. That's very kind of you, T. You're such a wonderful person.
Wow, you made her cry.
I'm glad you've been getting so much from the club. That's all I ever hoped for. I hope we get to be together one day, too. More than anything. Excuse me a moment, will you, everyone?
Oh, get over it.
Looks like they sent the poem along with it. Let's just pull that up.
I'll paint you. I'll drag my brush 100 times and paint the world I see, and show you all the wonders that I can't keep just to me. I'll stroke a sunset from my hand next to a sandy beach, where you wait in the canvas cloth within my brush's reach. I'll paint you something beautiful, a cityscape with lights, a dim cafe with outdoor seats to spend your rooftop nights. I'll paint your breezes long and smooth that taste like flowered fields, with pink and white and vibrant greens, and sky that never yields. I'll paint you what I can't describe, or name with letters weak. I'll paint for you the beauty of which I could never speak. I'll paint for you to show the world the beauty in your soul, but most of all I'll paint your face to make the canvas whole.
Oh, wow! That's really good, T. I can feel it bursting with overwhelming love. Around here we mostly don't write poems about stuff that's too mushy. We're not very good at it. Probably because we're not very good at unreserved love. Even when Monica tends to write poems for you, they tend to have that bittersweetness about them, you know? But this is just pure sweetness and light. And it's just beautiful instead of seeming sappy. I love it. What do you guys think?
It reminds me a little of Natsuki's poetry. Sometimes when the mood takes her, Natsuki's poetry can be very romantic. In both the sense that it is about romance and in the sense that it's classically romantic in style. A good poem of this kind makes you feel swept away with emotion and sentiment. And I think you've done a wonderful job of replicating that.
I know the feeling very well what that you're talking about here, T. I wish I could be as eloquent as you at explaining it. But that feeling of wanting to shout to the world all about the beauty you see and feel, I get it. You're just a lot better at communicating it than I am.
Normally, this is the part where I would mock you for being so hopelessly in love. But it's actually pretty hard to do that with something so sincere. So number one, I'll say you did a fantastic job. And number two, I'll say, what does Monica think of this so that we can mock her instead? She's totally dissing her shit in the face of this poem, isn't she? No, she is not. As for what I think of the poem, I'll tell you all what I already told T. I think it's perfect in every way. Alright, let's move on before I really do lose it again.